Submissions, where DIY bands submit songs for us to listen and react to blind. Every week, we'll bring a guest from the underground music, arts, or entertainment scene to help you sort through mountains of new music. We go in blind, so you don't have to. Blynd Submissions.
Hey, everybody. It's time for another episode of...
What is it? It's been a while.
Blind
Submissions.
Jeff Wilson here.
And JD Norton coming at your ear holes.
Coming up hot on that mic.
Coming up hot
Getting
on this mic.
Grunty and sweet.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, so we left our guests in the waiting room for a long time.
For a while
because I'm a slow-ass motherfucker who had 2.5 weeks off of recording and completely forgot how to run an audio workstation. So, hey, we're back in business now. That's what happens when you have a host/engineer.
Yeah.
So there's a shit ton to talk about. It's been 2 weeks, over 2 weeks since I saw this guy. Because I went on my first trip.
Went on a college tour.
Over a year, went on a college tour with my older daughter. Drove all over, came home, quarantined for a week, got tested, got a second dose of the Pfizer, got sick as fuck for a day. And here I am.
I'm really looking forward to Tuesday. Tuesday.
Are you Mumbles from the Dick Tracy movie?
I must be. Or Mushmouth from Fat Albert.
Big Boy did it. Hey, so today we have on
the Martins.
Martin and Martin from DOMKRAFT. So we're gonna go ahead and spare you a lot of our bullshit and just kind of go straight to DOMKRAFT is a kind of
Swedish prog sludge.
Prog sludge doom.
Yeah.
The sound has evolved a bit over the course of the band.
It totally has.
And they're fucking killer, and they have a new record coming out.
Seeds.
Called Seeds on Magnetic Eye.
Next week.
Actually,
this week.
This week on
the 30th.
Yeah, so you'll hear this on Monday, and it will be out.
And it is fucking good.
It's really good.
It is so good.
It's
one of the benefits of doing this is sometimes we get to hear entire
things
albums before they come out
ahead of time.
And this one is one that we did that I've been listening to on repeat.
Yeah,
it is so good.
It's dope as hell. So let's just listen to a little bit of DOMKRAFT from their new album Seeds, and then we'll bring on
the
Martins.
Bring on the Martins.
Donna Man, is that what we're going to listen to?
Donna Man.
So it's DOMKRAFT, DOMKRAFT.bandcamp.com. Don't worry, you will hear plenty of JD and I bullshitting about life.
Yeah, because I know that's what you tune in for.
You know what? It is.
It is.
Yeah. All right.
They don't want the guests. They want us.
Fuck the guests. Tell us about your boring lives. All right, so here's Donna Man. At least the beginning of it, and then we'll bring on the Martins. Hey,
hello.
And there they are. How's it going, guys?
Sorry that took a little longer. We had some audio problems.
Oh, man. I already talked about it, but it's funny. You spend 2 weeks not staring at a DAW, and you forget how they work very quickly. It's like, wow, this is all wrong. Nothing's working. Nothing's recording. Yeah, you got to choose all your inputs.
Helps. Yes. So we have Martin and Martin from DOMKRAFT.
Hi. Hey,
nice to be here.
Welcome to the show. We were
Thank
just
you.
opening with sharing a little bit of Dawn of Man with the listeners prior to bringing you in. So good.
Yeah, it's one of the, so far, like JD said before you guys hopped on, one of the benefits is we're starting to almost get treated like real music press, which means we get previews and we're hearing a lot of stuff before it comes out now. And man, the whole record is so great. Really looking forward to everybody else getting a chance to hear it. I've been following you guys for a long time. And so it's exciting to have you guys on and chat a little bit about what you're up to, and then ultimately listen to some music. So
yeah,
sounds good.
Yeah, it's tough to have you on. I think the first time I saw you guys was actually in a Psycho. Was that 3 years ago?
Oh, you went to that show?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh
completely.
Oh my God.
Boy, was that a
And
bad
you
show.
invited us.
You still have us here. That's strange.
That was a crap gig.
Oh, hey, look, we know enough about how the sausage is made at Psycho to sort of give everybody, especially, well, honestly, it doesn't really matter which stage you played on. Every stage gets a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. I mean, our good friends Amy and John from Year of the Cobra played the vinyl stage was that Saturday or Sunday?
Yeah.
All the amps were beat to hell. There wasn't a drum head that didn't have a hole in it. I get it.
So bad.
So yeah, it didn't matter. The performances were great, regardless
Cheers.
of
Exactly.
some of the pitfalls.
Yeah.
But no, that was fun. Oh, man, I'd go for a Psycho right now. I don't care how bad anybody sounded. I would take that over no live music for over a year, any day of the week.
Now, a great festival, though. We have to say that it was amazing.
Yeah, did you guys stick around for the whole thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, for 3 days or something.
Yeah, we went there for the job gig the day before also.
Yeah.
So
yes, we were there. Yeah, that particular show has come up a couple of times. That was Yob and Sub Rosa at the end of the pool party.
Oh yeah,
man, that was an incredible. That was just an incredible. I felt like that was pretty magical.
I think we got tossed out of job though. I think we went in and then we went out and then we didn't get.
We had to stand outside.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't have have the proper wristbands, probably.
Oh, we did. We had like the artist bands, but
With
they said
else.
but they said that okay, we're to capacity now, or I'm not really sure. But we ended up drinking, so that was a good night after all.
At Psycho?
That's weird.
That's surprising. Yeah. It's very unusual. No, that was a very cool night, and extra special because that was the first night. Actually, that was the night I met Andy Patterson for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
Sub Rosa's drummer, who JD came up with in Salt Lake City and is old friends with. And Andy's one of the best dudes. We had him on an episode already, and he's hilarious. And it was just a fun night. I told the story before, but we were talking side stage with him before Sub Rosa went on, and they're like, he was drinking a beer, telling a story, and they're like, Andy, it's time to start. And he goes, oh, okay. And he set his beer down, walked up to his drum set, clicked his sticks, and started playing. Like so professional, doesn't need a second even to get ready to go. He was just good to go immedially.
I actually have to say that prior to that fest, I was I didn't quite get Sub Rosa before going there, and when I saw that show, it all sort of made sense for the first time. And that was fucking amazing.
Yeah, I'll admit to being in that club entirely. The recordings didn't hit me right. I didn't get it until that night. I think was when I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I see what's going on here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it also changes how you look at how you listen to the recordings afterwards. So I go back to them quite a lot these days. But prior to Psycho, it was like, I don't think this is my thing.
Yeah.
But then again,
Yeah, completely.
pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
What
that is
what
such
has
a
been your
strange thing, actually.
Yeah.
Happens a lot. You hear a band live, and then the recordings sound completely different afterwards.
Yeah. Well, I think this is I mean, we've had enough producers on that, I mean, what we're playing is a live medium, frankly. And it's like, it's a real challenge to bottle it up and make a recording that in any way kind of captures the live experience. And absolutely, seeing a band live will completely change the way I listen to the recordings. And it's so hard to do. And it's why there are a few producers over the years who have really stood out. Like, I don't know, maybe pop music's the same, maybe rock is the same, but it seems to me like, you know, there are a small number of people who've really figured out how to translate the experience. And that's why the artists go back to those same people over and over and over again. If you look at Andy's pedigree or Billy Anderson or, you know, any number of producers who've like cracked the code on recording this wild, incredible, loud music and making it, you know, enjoyable to listen to on your stereo.
Yeah. Speaking of, who recorded this new album of yours, Seeds? Who did you do that with?
It was recorded at a studio called Welfare Sounds in Gothenburg. Two guys called Kalle Lilja and Per Stålberg. And they're like, both of them are musicians in touring bands. And they've done some heavy stuff before, but mainly their focus is on like guitar-based alternative pop. The studio has become that. And they sort of have this label also. But they're both like, in our Paris in our age, and we have the same references, and he likes this kind of music. So we felt that. Plus, they have a great live room, and we always go for a great live room. So they managed to get a great recording, and then we had it mixed by called Daniel Lidén, who's also done Lowrider, Greenleaf, Catatonia, and Horndal. So he's basically done all the Swedish albums that have come the last month to release. But he's like this wizard for making things sound huge also.
Yeah. So I'd be curious. So you guys mostly live track?
Yeah. Always.
Completely.
Always, yeah.
We do guitar dubs, but we always record the whole song.
Yeah.
Drums, bass, and guitar.
And you capture so I have live tracked. Actually, it's my preferred way too. And it's always interesting to see, like, because no performance is perfect, right? There's always like some aspect of the performance that's when we stop, it's like when you have the one performance where there's one magical thing that really comes out, or maybe the whole performance is magic, but then there's always a sacrifice of some other part of the performance that you have to go in and fix or mess with a little bit. How do you guys know when you have the right take that, you know, like kind of in the can?
Actually, we improvise a lot when writing songs. So when we enter the studio, we're not quite sure about how the song will end up, what it will turn into. So
more now than earlier, at least.
Yeah.
But there's also this. I think that we usually rip through the song once or twice, and we that was a good take. Okay, let's try to do it again, but slower.
Yeah, that happens.
And then we listen back to which works best. But basically, for the past times, we've been pretty well rehearsed. So it's usually possibly like 2 or 3 takes maximum. Yeah. And there's also, we don't play to a click track.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the tempo sort of goes up and down, but that's part of the magic also.
Yeah.
That's what makes this vibrant.
I've gotten hooked on this YouTube channel. I forget what the guy's name is, but he's like this music surgeon or something like that. And what he does is he takes old recordings and he chops them up and lays them on the grid perfectly as if they were recorded on a click, and then even time adjusted so that they're even closer to perfect. And then you listen to both versions and hear what a difference it makes in like some classic rock and metal songs to be perfectly on time, and then to kind of have the swing that they had in the original performance. It's from a musician's perspective, it's a really interesting experience. I actually just recorded to a click for the very first time. And well, actually, no, I didn't record to a click. We tracked drums to a click and then recorded everything else over that. It was weird for sure. Like, luckily our drummer can do it. But I don't know. Mostly we did it because we needed to speed through the production process to get it done, and the engineer was like, and the mixer's like, I'll get this back to you faster if everything's on the click. So I didn't love it though, and it wasn't a live performance. It was one of the first times I've recorded in layers, and I prefer the live tracking process for sure.
Did you actually find that faster?
For us,
yeah.
No, not really. Like, really what it was like, as soon as we got a good drum track, we knew everything else would be fast, but getting the clean drums on the click took a while. And then the bass part, it was we did a cover of Space Truckin' for a Deep Purple tribute record that Glory or Death Records is putting out. And I don't know, I was a take and 2 punches. Like, but I always say, like, the bass player's got the easiest job in the studio by a wide margin. He knows by a wide margin. It's like,
some of us are dumb enough to sing also.
Yeah, no, I haven't done that yet. I'm terrible. But I'm also good at picking up sandwiches or burritos after I'm done tracking, which is the bass player's job, I feel like, in the studio.
You have to start doing that.
No, that's not his job.
Yeah.
Well, no. Hey, look,
the drummer's job.
If he has to, the drummer's job is hilarious because once those drum takes are nailed, they can just leave. Like, day 1 done. Have fun for the next 4 guys. Have fun for the next 4 days. But no, if you're singing too, that's a whole different. Singing's the hardest to me. It's the most vulnerable position. I mean, I guess it depends on exactly how you sing, but I always feel the most for Troy when he's tracking vocals. Like,
yeah. Sorry, I thought you were done.
I'm never really done.
That was actually something that I noticed. It seems like your vocal style changed a little bit this record.
Well, yeah, or I don't think it's changed, but we gave it a little bit more space to be varied on this record. And one of the reasons is also that we tuned down for this album for the first time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We usually play in D standard. Now it's C standard.
Oh, Jesus.
Which it's not that low, really. But
no.
I mean, still, it sort of gives you some more liberties when you're trying to track vocals or get like different vocal lines or styles going. Otherwise, you just have to be on the top of your lungs and just shouting to reach, reach the notes.
Yeah.
And it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that was it. Maybe it was just a different, different production. It just stands out differently.
Yeah, it is intentional. And it's also, I mean, the main thing is that there are more like low parts, more like calmer parts where I not necessarily scream my lungs out all of the time. But I think that also, since we tuned down when we were starting to write the tracks, we sort of realized that, okay, we can do it this way now. We don't have to be on top of everything all the time. And that's basically not just the vocals, that's like the arrangements of the track and everything.
Yeah, I think it did well. So but then the entire thing is in C standard.
Yeah.
You guys don't mess around with different tunings, song track by track.
I do sometimes on guitar, but the main part is C standard.
Basically, our set has to be in the same key because we're not the kind of band that can travel with 2 guitars or anything. It's just like, this is what it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I have a totally different perspective on all of that because I started playing a 5-string, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And we're, typically we settled on, I'm going to tune a 5-string a half step down. So I'm playing in B flat standard.
Yeah.
The guitar player plays in every tuning known to man, and I just transpose for the exact same reason. I'm playing one. I have one instrument. I don't want to have a bunch of different setups for every. Carl will play in 6 different tunings at any given time. So I learned a long time ago how to transpose depending on what tuning he's playing in, it works for us, but I guess it would be nice to like be able to look at his hands and then do the same thing. But I'm but I'm used to not being able to do that. So
Yeah.
No, but I mean, our songs are so much based on these patterns all of the time, patterns or loops, especially when it comes to the bass. So what I do is basically, I start doing one thing and then I do that until the song is over.
Sometimes you do it slower for a while.
Yeah, sometimes I do it slower.
Maybe slower. Half time, double time.
Yeah.
But it's funny. I mean, part of I think what people respond to is the repetitive nature of some of this music, and repetitive sounds negative, but if you say something like hypnotic, then it doesn't sound negative anymore. But one of the bands we've been completely hooked on, and it shows that it's not just us, is King Buffalo. And they're doing the same thing, right? The bass player sets a pattern, and then everybody else just moves around it in circles, kind of evolves it, changes it. But he's kind of the center of the whole thing, and I love it. I don't actually like playing that, but I love listening to it. Yeah.
No, completely.
I think they're sort of kindred spirits to us, but they're like in a more mellow way, or more atmospheric way, while we go for the throat a little bit more. But I totally get what they're doing and how they come up with these songs, and I agree. I've seen them live, and it's been amazing. Basically.
Because it's like I was curious to hear, but not shocked to hear that you guys improvise a bit, because the nature of the songs is kind of similar, and you know, I always imagine their songs evolve out of jams. You know what I mean? That's just part of getting better as a band, is going into a room and doing that process, that repetitive process makes the rhythm section tighter, and then the exploration that happens when you know that you can always come back to that center is really fun. And sometimes it sounds like shit, and sometimes it sounds great. We had Howling Giant on a couple episodes ago, and those guys are Berkeley educated, like, music dorks. and but the new record that they just released is jams that they did on Twitch. And they just picked like whatever the 5 or 6 that they really liked, and we first listened to it and we were like, "Is this King Buffalo? Like, who is this?" And then we talked to him, and I didn't know that those songs came out of just live improvised jams on Twitch, and I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense, 100%. It totally makes sense." And it's really cool to hear that side of a band who's really well rehearsed and playing complex stuff, to like take it back to being simple.
But that's also I mean, when you talk about progressive bands or about progression, you always sort of interpret that as adding more notes, adding more tempo changes or whatever. But I mean, you could also progress by removing stuff. By playing, like, that's what we do a lot of the time, is when we start off with a riff that doesn't really work, we start, okay, let's skip that part, and then we're down to 1 or 2 notes, and then it works, because it's so much more about how the rhythm goes and how the loop is constructed. But that's also, I mean, I don't think we would do that when we started up. It sort of takes some time to learn how to get those things going also, because the most obvious way of adding layers to a song is adding more stuff.
I'm guilty of that.
Sometimes less is more. Less is more.
That is a lesson that I have not learned yet. What it makes me think is hopefully somewhere, there are some lost Rush jam room tapes where they just ran variations on one simple progression for a while, and let the players explore a little bit.
The lost tapes.
The lost Rush tapes.
Exactly.
And actually, I think later in their career, they kind of, and I'm really just starting to dig into, everything, post mid 80s Rush, and there's some real great stuff in there that's I think only their dedicated fans ever heard, but luckily for them, there were enough of those that they didn't ever have to be on the radio again to stay touring constantly in arenas. So
so we where we were saying, you know, Howling Giant has been doing these Twitch streams during sort of COVID. What have you guys been doing? Obviously, you recorded an album, but I'm guessing the album did not take an entire year. What else have you been up to?
We actually, I mean, just after the record was recorded, which was like June last summer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We took a month off, basically. And then we started doing new stuff, or we started recording, started rehearsing for another record that we actually recorded 3 weeks ago.
Oh wow!
Wow!
It's not an album. It's a split album. Our side of the split album plus an AC/DC cover for a redo album also.
Oh, nice.
So that's what we've been doing, and I don't think we've ever been that rehearsed when we went into the studio. We were working on like 4 songs for 7 months.
Oh wow!
So it was just one day in and out. You're like,
we're done. 1.5 days. We nailed it all.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and guess that this is Magnetic Eye and maybe some blues funeral stuff. Just
the AC/DC one is.
Yeah.
The split is something different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we real fascinated by the kind of super rich music scene in Sweden, and we had a guy named Max Malmer who's in a band called Cavern Deep up in what town? Umeå, yeah.
Did we say that right?
Yeah.
Umeå.
Yeah, there we go. Who gave us a really great primer on kind of what his take was on why there's so much music coming out of Sweden. But what's you guys' feeling on I mean, 10 million people in Sweden. There's 10 million people in LA County. Yeah. California has 40 million people.
Are there any bad bands in Sweden? This is my question.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think you're right in that. Of course, there's been an abundance of bands emerging from Sweden and Scandinavia, perhaps especially Sweden. But I mean, Norway and Finland has been catching up in recent years. But I think it boils down to 2 things, actually. One is that the government has always been prone on funding kids to learn how to play new instruments. And when you're a kid and you start a band, you can get a practice space, and you get basically funded by the states. So it's not you can do that here. And also it's fucking dark.
Yeah.
not
Always.
that much to do, actually.
And I mean, all the good bands that has come out of Sweden, I'm not saying all of them basically, but most of the great bands that has come out of here come from smaller cities, or at least is founded by people who grew up in smaller cities. So it's basically a way to fight boredom, or to be a part of something that is bigger than the small town you grew up in.
Interesting.
We were also teenagers before internet, actually. So you could play football,
Same here.
Or you could play heavy metal. You had to.
Like in middle school. So for me, that was 7th grade. So I'm 12. I was 11, 12 in the 80s, and my family was a soccer family, and I played 9 seasons, and I got to the very last year where you could play on kind of like a no tryouts required team. After that you had to audition and you had to make a team. And the coach at the very end of the season came up to me and he said, "Have you ever thought about playing any other sports?" And I went, no.
That hurt.
In fact, I don't even really want to play this one. And he's like, well, maybe you should think about doing something else. And it was right about then when I started getting. No, it's true. Well, look, my brother was a goalie for his college team, and we had friends that were on the U.S. national team. His first girlfriend was Brandy Chastain, who was the female player who ripped her shirt off in the
World Cup.
In the World Cup. Yeah. This is what I was surrounded by, and I had to go home and tell my parents, like, my coach said I shouldn't play soccer anymore. And it was right about then that I started getting into music, that I got, seriously into listening. And it was a couple years after that I got my first instrument. And it was exactly that. It was like, well, it seems like there's a couple of lanes here, and music, I think, is maybe the lane for me, because sports definitely.
How did you guys get into music? Did you also have failed sports careers, or
government sponsorship, which is pretty sweet?
More of the last one, actually. We were bored. I grew up in a small town in Sweden called Kalmar. You had nothing to do. You were kind of bored. I had relatives playing music in bands too, so I kind of looked up to that. And I think I bought my first guitar when I was like 13 or 14, electric one.
Mm-hmm.
I started listening to Pink Floyd and stuff like that, but quite early I discovered punk rock, and that was easy to play too.
Yep.
We started rehearsing in the basement of our house, actually, for a month or so, and then they said no more. And we had to get a practice space, but that's what I did. So I mean, I think I was 14 or 15 or something when I really started talking about myself as a person playing music instead of doing sports, actually.
It was basically the same story for me, but I was a super music fan before I started playing. I was one of those kids who was like 9 when I saw a Kiss album the first time.
Oh wow!
I think I'm one of the like 10 million people who has this story at least. But
you were at Woodstock.
Yeah. No, but then I picked up, of course, all that followed Metallica and then Slayer, and then the death metal thing that happened over here in Scandinavia, especially. And I come from an even smaller place. It was like a 5,000 capacity small town on the west of Sweden. And I had a couple of friends who sort of shared this interest in music. And when we grew up, there was no one who actually sort of had done anything in music from that, not even from the like surrounding towns. But I grew up with a bunch of guys who really, they sort of, something happened after, like in the early 90s, because one of my best friends was Adrian, who plays the drums at the Gates.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And also I played with his little brother, Daniel, who plays in Arch Enemy.
Of course.
And I actually taught school for, when you're out of work, you sort of get these, you can be a substitute teacher in Sweden, even if you're just like 19 or whatever.
Oh, wow.
And so I had this class that was sort of, was one of those sort of kind of rowdy classes. They were a bunch of 11-year-olds. At one time, I had to bring down a kid who was riding his skateboard on the desk, while another guy dissolved like pencils in water and drank the water. So that was what I was coping with. But one of those guys, he became the basis of Meshuggah. So,
okay.
Which is pretty good for a really small town. So I think it's a different story there now. But I think we all came from the same thing, that it's sort of, there had to be something more to this, basically.
Yeah. And it was always heavy music. It was never dreams of the Eurovision song contest.
Oh. But we've been playing other
pop
stuff.
star.
Yeah.
We played a lot of like noisy rock in the 90s also.
Yeah.
Me and Martin played in the same bands. But you get to a point where, okay, now you've heard Napalm Death and all the other bands, and there's no further way to go, really.
Yeah.
You reach a plateau as far as how fast can it be, how heavy can it be, and then you start investigating other things. And then we came into like My Bloody Valentine and bands like that. They had some sort of different energies to them. So it's basically what we're doing now is a mixture of all of these influences.
Yeah, no,
a cool thing with growing up in a small town too is that you become quite a tight community. People who like alternative music like each other. So I was hanging out with people skateboarding, listening to punk rock, but there were lots of people that were into, body synth or techno or anything as long as it was different and you didn't like the other guys, it was okay, sort of. And that was cool, actually.
Yeah,
you were like the freaks from a college movie, right?
Yeah. There's a show that we have here that this country has become obsessed with called Letterkenny. That I don't know how it would translate. I feel like maybe it might translate okay, but it's basically about a small town in Canada. And it's like all the different groups of weirdos that live in this little town, and one of the groups is the Skids. They're like the techno metal meth head kids. And I feel like they're the outcasts, and I feel like every small town has a group like that, sort of operating in the fringes, and they're funny because they're super fucked up, but they like really care for each other and take care of each other. And in the context of the show, they're like a really tight family, even though they're kind of the butt of a lot of the jokes. It's interesting to think. I mean, the States have, a history of good music coming out of, small places or depressed places. But imagine how that would be amplified if there was, government funding for it, if people actually got behind it. Because if you do it here, it's like despite everything pressing against you, there's no support for it. So it has to be like a true labor of love, because you kind of sacrifice everything. Even possibly being able to eat in order to do it. So it's kind of a weird dynamic. I would love to see what it was like. But, like the town that gave us Kurt Cobain and Buzz Osborne is a shithole. It's like, by their own admission, is a horrible place to live and grow up. And even at the peak of grunge in the 90s, Seattle wasn't what it is now. No. And it wasn't a small town, but it was a dark, depressed, not that great place to be for most of the people who live there. And, similarly, not a very sunny place. So it's not surprising. I wonder why we don't get more good music out of Alaska. Maybe because it's just too fucking hard,
far apart.
Too hard to get to the rest of the states from Alaska. And Hawaii, I always thought the same thing. Like, you'd think that there would be, maybe a strong punk rock tradition in Hawaii or something, but it just doesn't happen. And I think the government funding, oddly enough, is a really important part of that.
Oh, so important.
Yeah.
Really good weather in Hawaii, though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, everybody's outside all the time.
Surfers.
There's really no reason to be inside.
Exactly.
That's why everybody just plays acoustic guitars and ukuleles there, because you're outside. You don't need amps.
Nope. Should we listen to some music?
I'm down.
Speaking of music,
yeah,
let's get into some.
All right. So, like we said, these are submissions that come into our inbox either directly from bands or from their PR people. We only pick stuff that we've never heard of or seen before. Anytime, like we had Darren from Pinkish Black on, he sent us a submission, and I was like, fucking, are you kidding me? Like, I've seen you. I can't listen to you blind, but I'm
come on the show.
I'm excited. He's like a Century Media, or like, come on. It was funny too, because he's on a major label, but he said on the show he's never made a penny from record sales.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Even from our perspective as someone who's on a label that I would expect is compensating, no go. But
crazy.
But so this is stuff that we're is new to us, new to you, and
hopefully. I tried not to pick any Swedish bands just in case.
Yeah. Well, that was the other thing Max did, is kind of gave us the lay of the land on Swedish bands. And so now I've listened to most of the, he said, here's all the Swedish bands that are great that you probably haven't heard. And then we listened to all of them. So now I can't play those anymore.
Exactly.
I don't even want to try to say the names because I'm going to sound like a dipshit, but Galpa.
Try. You have to try.
Galpa is amazing.
Yeah, Galpa was what the fuck is Bjork doing singing?
Bjork doing in a metal band.
It was awesome. All right, so I'll share my screen with you so you guys can see what we're listening to. You take that back. There's no such thing as a really, really bad power metal album.
Is there not?
Or every power metal album is a really, really bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, power metal is one of those like guilty pleasures of mine that he just doesn't get even slightly.
I can, yeah.
It's like I listen to it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think I prefer body meat to power metal.
Yeah.
But like, I listened to it ironically at first, and then the irony disappeared, and I just listened to it. It's like, fuck, man, I feel charged up. I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
Did you actually feel this the transition? From being an ironic listener to being actually in love with the music.
I just woke up one day and threw on Blind Guardian just because, and that was it.
But I bet after you listened to it, you were ready to fucking conquer the day, man.
I was ready to mow my lawn.
You were march into war with that lawn.
Yeah, 30% faster lawn mowing after. Well, the mystery for me is, are they in on the joke or not? You know what I mean? And I've always been curious with these bands. Is the Darkness? Those guys were in on the joke.
Yeah,
very much so. And that's kind of like a hair metal version of power metal to me. But they were aware of what was going on. But
100%.
I can't decide with. Some of them I think are, but not all of them.
I mean, you would think that Manowar was, but they're not.
Well, look, this is kind of the state of things, and I consumed a bunch of TV and movies last night that was sort of focused on the state of media and politics, but like The Boys on Amazon Prime, or there's a new cartoon series on Amazon Prime called Invincible that's incredible, like superhero stuff that's kind of flipping the story around, and really these people who create a persona and make money off of that persona become the persona. Like originally maybe the persona was a portion of their personality, but at some point that takes over and it becomes the personality. Tucker Carlson didn't start out where he is today. It was in there. But enough adulation and money fed that monster, and it became his entire being. It would appear, Candace Owens, fucking Alex Jones, Alex. Anytime your defense in court is, well, any reasonable person would clearly see that this is fake. Maybe you went down a bad path somewhere along the way, and no one should be listening to you.
Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah. We hit the merch table.
We did. So hey, usually we go through and kind of look at records that we bought recently or any new gear. Are you guys vinyl collectors and buyers?
Yeah, to a certain extent. I mean, not. I don't spend all my earnings on vinyl, but I like the odd vinyl. Yeah, I do.
What do you buy? You buy old stuff? Do you buy new band? Support new bands or friends?
I try to support friends.
Yeah.
Basically, usually when we play shows with other bands, I often pick up their albums if I think they were good.
Yeah.
But I also sort of go crate digging a bit.
Yeah.
Get some like old stuff, and I do occasionally get stuff from Discogs also.
Yeah.
But it's sort of picked up speed during the pandemic year also, because that's what you can do, really.
Yeah, 100%.
Completely.
So I had to fight a really strong urge yesterday, because are you guys fans of the Mars Volta?
Well,
sort of.
I mean, it's like the opposite of what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like them in theory.
Yeah.
I did like them a while ago, but they're good.
So they released this box set of like everything they ever recorded, and then a bunch of other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like $500. Like no joke. If you buy it, you're gonna it's gonna appreciate at some point. It's probably gonna be worth more, but also it's $500.
Yeah. It's a lot.
And so I didn't order it when it came out, and then I saw a post on Facebook yesterday. Streetlight has like 5 copies of the box set if anybody wants to go get one.
Oh.
So luckily I was finishing up my quarantining yesterday. So I was like, I can't go even if I want to, but fuck, I was tempted to go and buy that.
Well, I'm sure we're going to talk about it with Jad tomorrow, but he has that post wax series that they're doing, and it too. I was looking at it. I think it's like $500 or $600.
It's so great.
I want it so bad.
No, it's not that much, is it?
I think it was.
I think there are some versions of it, but
maybe.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, we took part in the first year, and I think it was pretty steep, but I think it was like $250 or something for the entire set.
Jad will kill you if that's wrong.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, that's a unique project. Then it was that's one of the few box sets that I actually have, and that's pretty amazing, really, because it's so well thought out, and
it's so cool. And I love all of JJ's write-ups. You know, that's he's probably my favorite music writer. When we had him on, he was a blast too. I mean, it's like, this guy writes so well. Maybe he'll be boring in person, but not at all. He's actually an incredible guest, a really funny and interesting dude to talk to. But yeah, the whole package is just so good. And that I'm excited to talk to him tomorrow, because that he went through the era, and I mean, I started listening to, you know, whatever stoner rock or metal is at the very beginning, because we were literally in the practice studio where Sleep practiced. So they were next door. Like, you couldn't avoid it. A lot of it happened here. And I really want to get Frank Kozik on, because he did so much of the early work on the West Coast of exposing, you know, Caius and the Melvins and, so many bands that it's like hard to even wrap your head around his influence. But I think between Frank on this coast and Jad on the East Coast, they have so much history in this music that's now like old enough to be like classic rock was to me when I was a kid. You know, this is like Zeppelin. This is like Zeppelin to today's kids. So I can't believe that's how old we are, but that's where we are. So.
It looks like the post. There's two versions of the post wax. One is $339. The other one is $599.
Damn.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was off,
but you can make payments. No, you weren't too bad. So do you have anything to share? Have you picked up anything? Do you have anything? I also have to ask, are you guys in a bus?
This is our rehearsal space.
This is a rehearsal space.
Oh, there we go.
It looks like a bus.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's like the railings around the top and okay.
Gotcha.
All right.
This is what a Swedish basement looks like.
Gotcha. Do you have copies of the new record?
Yeah, we got them a few days ago, but not here.
Oh, okay. Well, pretend like he's waving around a copy of the new record right now.
Yeah, we'll dub it in.
Do theater of the mind.
No, but that looks insane, of course. I mean, the artwork is... it's really out there, since it's all in 3D, and it actually really, really works.
Yeah.
And it comes with the glasses, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
You could actually get some good lighting going, and then look at it and listen to the music, and be prepared to sort of want to go to bed right now.
Who did the artwork?
It's a guy who's been doing all of our artworks, called Björn Appeldags. He's a friend, and he's a really he's a pretty big name in Scandinavia when it comes to drawing and designing stuff. But he's basically he's almost like a fourth member, really, because he does all this stuff on his own. He interprets what we do, and he's not a metal guy. He's not a metal guy at all. So it's like his interpretation of what metal should look like.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so he breaks all the conventions. That's one thing that's really always stood out to me, is the records look interesting and they look like you sound, but they don't look like metal records, which is cool.
Yeah, that's the general idea of it.
Yeah, completely.
And I love a tight collaboration with an artist. Like, we've used a few artists over the years, but we're kind of like locking in with one person that we've started using now over and over, and just like his vision and our music sort of works together really well. So I have a feeling we're kind of going to go down that same path of just collaborating with somebody to create an overall look. And that's powerful stuff, man. Some bands focus on it and, to the betterment of everything, because part of it's about communicating the vision, but another part is just about creating a brand. I mean, if at some point you're trying to live off of this, you want to reach as many people who would pay for your music as possible so that you can then just keep making music. And the visual part of it is an absolutely massive part of it. Actually, Nick did our background too. The same artist who's done most of the work for the band.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. I feel like you guys have done it. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that I think that it also has to do with the fact that the only sort of, I wouldn't say the income you get, but the only thing that you can get that you can actually get an income from is from vinyl sales, really.
Yeah.
And
t-shirts.
And of course you have to make something that, of course, also looks pretty nice to own, that has that sort of urgency in it.
Yep.
And I mean, I think that we've done. There's been other people doing like EPs, and the post-wax thing was also great, and that was another artist.
Yep.
Who was attached to the project, but for the full length, I think we're gonna keep working with Björn there, just to sort of have a straight line in that. And I hadn't seen anything he's done that wasn't drawn before, but when he said that he wanted to build something, because this is actually built.
Yeah, it looks physical.
Built a diorama and shot it with a 3D camera. So we were just,
That's so crazy.
Cool.
It looks so different from all of the other album covers.
I have to check my inbox, but I'm pretty sure I have 2 copies of that heading our way.
Oh, I bought 2 as well.
More giveaways.
That's good.
All right, well. All right. More giveaways.
We do this. We've been hanging out pretty much solely with each other for nearly a year. So this is what happens when you do that.
It's basically the same for us. It's these 2 guys and the families that we've met.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's kind of what we decided early on and stuck to it. Although now
it was kind of like that before too, though.
So nothing really changed. I mean, same here.
Some people call it quarantine. We call it life.
Life.
Yeah. I mean, not far off. Other than for me, band practice and then running shows. We book a lot of shows, so we have the normal people that we hang out with at the venues, and three nights a week we're out at a show or running a show. So this has been an interesting adjustment to not meet people in the music business on a weekly basis. Part of why we're doing this, because both of us crave that sort of interaction, and we lost it. So we found a way to get it back, even if it's kind of an imitation of the real thing.
It's just virtual.
We figured it out. All right. Well, What'd you get? I went digging. I was my daughter is going to college next year, and for our first vacation, we actually had to tour some campuses because she got into a bunch of schools in Oregon and Washington. And so I managed to go to a record store in Seattle that was really cool. And
was it called Golden Oldie Records?
No, it wasn't. I should find it. I should find it and shout it out. I will at some point. Yeah. It was a really cool spot. Here we go. It was called Daybreak Records. Kind of if you're in Seattle, it's kind of like near Ballard, which is an up and coming neighborhood in Seattle, mostly because that's where Amazon built their campus.
Amazon, is that a company? Yeah,
Amazon is a company. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Amazon. Sort of
we've heard the name.
They sell stuff
a little. So starting to expand globally.
So I went to record stores in Portland and Bellingham and
dude, just show us the records.
No,
I'm just kidding. This is quite a build-up.
No,
I'm joking.
So I went from everything to like the record store doesn't even have a metal section to the record store has a metal section with 50 Disturbed records to then Daybreak in Seattle, who had a metal section that literally had 3 records that I knew what they were. And I mean, I do this. I may not know as much as some people, but I mean, I swear to God, I flipped through 2 entire stacks and saw 3 records that I recognized, and I bought 2. and I bought 2 of them.
Sweet.
One was we listened to this Cobalt record. Remember, we were listening in the car.
Did we?
Yeah, I forget what it was.
Oh yeah, we did listen to Cobalt. Yeah, Cobalt was cool.
It is a really cool record, and it's a 2-piece produced by Dave O'Terry in Denver, who's doing tons and tons of heavy bands. He's the guy who's recording the new Pound record. That's a band you guys would hate too. But like that's a band that you would love in theory, like the Mars Volta, but then you would actually hate because it's I think maybe the exact opposite of what you're doing in heavy music.
It's as many notes as possible every.
It's all riffs, no solos. I swear to God, a typical Pound song probably has 90 riffs, and very very infrequently are they repeated. So
I think that's more riffs than we've come up with in our lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I feel the same way when we saw Windhand at Psycho. I was like, okay, yeah, I got that chord now. So we can go to another one. Can we go to pretty soon? Go to another one. Anyways,
I love Windhand, by the way.
I do. I like to listen to them, but
yeah.
And then you give me a decent copy of Blizzard of Oz.
That was the first Ozzy album I ever heard.
For $7, and I'll take it. And that was the other thing, is the pricing was really good.
Yeah.
This brand new Cobalt record was $15.
Oh wow.
Double LP, and that wasn't just discounted. That was just all the records were priced really low. I don't know his business model. Damn. I don't know exactly how he does it, or whoever owns that place. But it was a really really cool shop.
Sweet.
And I could have spent a lot more money there, but I tried to had a really cool soul collection too. I like soul and funk, and I almost walked away with some much more expensive records, but I said, I'll just listen on Spotify.
And then you have to travel with them,
whatever.
too.
Yeah, and then I had to travel with them.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'll share mine real quick.
Yeah, what'd you get?
I picked up a classic as well.
Oh,
Al Green. Al Green's greatest hits, baby. Right there.
That's almost like the opposite of the Aussie record.
Yeah, exactly. And then I also got the reissue. So Southern Lord reissued Art of what is it? I forgot what it's called. The Art of War.
Art of
Self-Defense.
Yeah.
I'm so bad at this.
Does it have credits for Carl in it?
I don't know. I haven't opened it to look.
Yeah.
But yeah, what song did he get writing credits for?
Blood from Zion.
Blood from Zion. Yeah. That's right.
Our guitar player and Matt started High on Fire together initially as a 2-guitar band, if you can imagine that. And before it was even named High on Fire, they were Fireface.
Fireface. There's a song on there called Fireface. Right?
Yeah, that it became a song.
Yeah,
and
you can't get it out.
No, it's okay. He's got writing credit on one.
Green.
He's got writing credit on one High on Fire song.
Green. Oh, look at that! Oh, totally it's clear. It's so clear. That's amazing. Look, it's the record you can't see.
It's the invisible record.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Oh man. Should we get to
listen to
the last three songs and then sort of bring things home?
Yeah. How are you guys for time?
We're good.
You're good? All okay, right. Cool. All right, so we got a couple more.
The last 3 submissions.
Oh, you did. You're on it.
Don't
all right.
We always do?
Yeah. Well, depends who's on and how much
time we have
releases.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking of records, I mean, your new one comes out on the 30th, right? Next Friday. Nice.
Big date, yeah.
Is there any live music happening in Sweden? Do you guys get to do any kind of release show or stream?
We will do a stream with Howling Giant among others, and
nice.
a couple of Magnetic Eye bands. And I think that's, I mean, if I'm wrong here, Jad's gonna kill me tomorrow or whenever you're speaking to him.
Oh, I've seen it. We'll put links up for it. Don't worry.
I think it's May 15th or something, and we're trying to do something that is slightly different to just. I mean, there are bands that can easily get away with just mounting cameras in the rehearsal space, but I think for us to do this, we want to do something else. So we're kind of looking at what we can do, but it's going to be, we're trying to incorporate the album art and the sculptures.
Oh, wow.
To make it somewhat visual, but then again, on a 0 budget. So we just sort of begging friends to help us out at this stage. But,
talk to Jad about that.
Yeah. How tall is that actual structure that's on the album cover?
I'd say it's like 50 centimeters or something. It's 1.5 foot.
It's
maybe.
actually many structures. It's not one.
I know it's several.
Oh, really?
structures.
Yeah. Interesting.
So here's
one on the cover, and there's a bunch more if you open the gatefold, and some on the back. So I think he'd made like 10 or 11 altogether.
Oh wow!
So here's
my pitch.
Fucked up family.
Yeah.
I have a pitch for you. You guys all wear the Green Man suits, you know, and then you put a green screen in the background, but you hold and play your instruments. I'm not kidding. And then you create some kind of animated version of that cover and project it
on the back
over the band in the background, so that it's just the record was really the inspiration. So there's just floating guitar, floating bass, and then
Again, the thing is the budget.
Our green screen background came from unnamed a retailer. Cost I think
a retailer we were just talking about.
You need someone who's tech savvy, which is none of us.
Oh, gotcha.
It's a miracle that we're actually getting this to work today. So we high-fived each other before we started. So.
Oh, congratulations. Oh, well, all right.
No,
well, hey,
that's
think about it.
Consider it.
Yeah, I will. Basically, we've been sort of reluctant to do streams earlier because it's sort of, I've seen streams that I've enjoyed, and I've also seen a couple of streams that were like
not great.
Well, it's sort of a poor substitute in a way.
Yeah. What is it, an actual stream, or are you guys going to pre-record a performance?
I think we're going to pre-record it. But it's going to be pre-recorded like 1 day or 2 days in advance, and there's several reasons to that. One is the time difference.
Yeah.
Of course, if we were to do it live, then it would have to start somewhere in the afternoon. Yeah. And that would put the other bands also on the spot in a way. So I think that's, for everyone, it's better. For me, I personally don't care if it's live or if it gets better, if you pre-record something, I'd take that anytime.
Yeah, you're still
I still think
staring at a camera.
Yeah. I think the best one I've seen is, the Finnish band Oranssi Pazuzu?
Yes.
Yeah, they did a stream that was amazing because that was fairly produced, and it had like smoke and visual effects and stuff like that. Wow. And that was pre-recorded, but it still worked way better than a lot of the live things I've seen, at least to me, because you got the full experience, in a sense. You sort of have to compensate the lack of like the booming notes that hit you in the chest with something else.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Maybe it will work out, or maybe it'll just be like a bunch of old dudes standing among a bunch of skeletons.
You said that's on May 15th?
Yeah.
Yeah,
doing it with Howling Giant.
It's like a Magnetic Eye event.
Yeah, it's a bunch of bands.
Oh, okay.
It's
that.
Also.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought we were talking about something different. Okay.
No, it's the
like. Oh, that's the one.
Okay.
It's like Jad they did that Day of Doom last year, and they want to do it again, but it's like virtual Day of Doom.
Gotcha.
We keep coming back to that too. We had Chris Johnson on, who engineered all the Day of Doom records a few episodes ago.
And also a great guy.
Another fantastic human being in every way.
See, we only have on the best human beings.
Yeah, we don't have. We haven't had any.
Are you a rock and roll asshole not coming on our show?
Shitty people. Look, when you wear the hat of a musician in a band, but also someone who works at a label and a promoter. Sort of, I have a list. We have a list. We have a list. We have interacted with hundreds and hundreds of people in bands, more, and I can pre-screen the assholes pretty quickly most of the time.
Yeah. So hey, we always kind of wrap up the show with the exact same question for everybody. Your all-time favorite hometown band. They don't have to be active. It could be somebody you grew up listening to when you were a teenager. But who is your all-time favorite hometown band?
I think I know, at least. But it's sort of, I moved to Gothenburg when I was pretty young. And there was this band around that we actually shared the practice space with for a while called Silver Bullets. I think they were called Citizen Bird in the States because of some copyright reasons. Because there was a rapper called Silver Bullets. But they were this amazing band that sort of were completely unique at their time. They sort of, they started out sounding like the Stooges, and they had this really charismatic vocalist. They sort of ventured down into more psychedelic stuff and more. I think we're sort of somewhat inspired by them because they also did this few chords and made it sound super powerful and still sort of catchy in a way. So if you have a chance, I think they are on Spotify in certain regions at least, but they are still, as far as I'm concerned, they're the best Swedish band ever. So that's what I'm going for. With an I.
What was it? Yeah, what was the name again?
In the U.S.
Silver Bullets.
Silver Bullet.
Citizen Bird.
Citizen Bird. Okay. Yeah.
So
did they actually keep going by Citizen Bird? Or did they go by two names?
No, they were just Citizen Bird in the States. But I think their second album was called Citizen Bird. So in the States, they went under that moniker. But in the rest of the world, they were Silver Bullets with an I.
Oh, God. Bullets. Gotcha.
Yeah. Like the Steve McQueen movie, you know.
Right.
It's a mixture of a Stephen King tale with a Steve McQueen movie.
Interesting.
Stephen King meets Steve McQueen.
So on Bandcamp, there is a person, not a band, registered with the handle Citizen Bird. Huh. Wonder who it is.
Ooh. All
right.
From Sweden.
All right.
How about you?
I mean, to mention a Swedish band, I guess Union Carbide would be something that just pops up because that was when I was a young guy. I was into punk rock and learning to play and having fun and drinking beer, and Union Carbide was there then. So
Union Carbide Productions,
that's an amazing band. I don't know if you've heard them, but
Union Carbide.
Yeah.
Production.
Also in the Stooges vein, somehow we sort of. I think they were an influence on Nirvana, actually, to be honest.
I think they have a song on that infamous or that famous list of, like, there's a handwritten list of bands that Kurt loved, or like his top 20 favorite songs or something like that.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure they have a song on that list.
Oh, nice.
And then, do you guys have anything you want to plug? Website, Bandcamp, social media? You guys active on social media very much?
We do the necessary stuff.
Getting better.
I was sort of thinking of having my daughter handle our Instagram accounts because
good call.
Seriously,
she knows it way better than I do. But I think if you want to check out records and shirts and stuff, go to domkraft.bandcamp.com. That's basically where we sort of put stuff online for sale. I'm not really sure about the shirt situation right now. I think there's still a bunch available, but there's no reason for us to print new ones until we're out playing. We got
I feel
loads of vinyls that we just need to shift. So it's a strange year.
Again. No doubt. Yeah, we took essentially a year off, other than figuring out how to track that Deep Purple song. And very smart.
Which song are you doing?
We did Space Truckin'.
You told me. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's actually just the label just released it, and I put together a little video. The artist who did the track art for it did a little animation for us, and I stretched 16 minutes of animation in one still image into a 5-minute video. So it was a little bit of wizardry there. But all right, awesome. So the album comes out on the 30th. Everybody get yourselves a copy. There are still, I think, all the there's a couple versions of it, I think, and I think there's still all of them available on.
Looks like it.
On the DOMKRAFT Bandcamp site. So you will not be disappointed. You've already heard a little bit of it when we started the episode. So, all right, well, I think that's about all we have. want to thank you guys for coming on. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you for having us.
Hopefully, borders will open sometime ever, and you guys can come out and tour, or we'll get over to Europe or something. I don't know, man.
One of these
I'm just
days.
dying to do anything. Dying to do anything at this point. But it was really great meeting you guys. And
you too.
the record's fantastic.
It is. It's incredible.
Cheers. Thanks a lot.
So good.
Thanks again.
All right.
Take care.
Have a killer day.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
The
Martins.
The Martins.
The Martins.
I had to fight every bit of the urge to go, Martin. remember this Martin from the sitcom? Yeah. I didn't do it. I didn't. I don't think it would have meant anything either. So it would have just been another moment where they're like, Yeah,
never heard that before.
Sure, buddy.
Actually, they probably
haven't.
Good.
Yeah. So go back and listen to their back catalog.
Yes,
they're funny. I mean, I think they kind of underplay. The music's not as simple as they make it sound. It's really, really good shit.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, it's so good. And honestly, the new album, I mean, they've released 3 songs off of it, which all 3 are so good. But like I said, we've heard the whole thing, and it is so good.
Yeah.
It is so damn good.
Yep.
You need to pick it up for sure.
All right.
Wow.
Well, let's see. I guess I should probably save some.
And apparently we're going to be giving away a copy or 2, probably.
Look, hey, I said I need to check my email. It's possible that I didn't buy 2 and that I'm thinking of something else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But you know what? Actually.
What?
I reached out to Jem, who was our winner of the King Buffalo.
Oh.
And he said,
Don't ship it to us.
Ship me a record.
Okay.
He's not dying to have it, so we need to pick a new winner.
Oh.
So
well,
maybe we'll do that this weekend.
Random number generator that YouTube subscriber list.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, if we... Well, never mind. We'll have done it by the time this episode comes out. So,
yeah.
So I'm not going to say go follow us because...
No, indeed.
It is always Monday on Blynd Submissions.
It is.
Yes. So, and tomorrow... Well, not tomorrow, but, next week. Next week, we're going to have an episode with Jad.
You're going to hear Jad Schickler. We were going to book a time with good old Pete Holland from Elephant Tree.
Oh, man. That record they put out last year.
Yeah,
that was last year, right?
It was last year.
It wasn't 2 years ago. It was last year.
No, it was last year.
Because that was good.
And then, got some other really good bookings that I'm super stoked about.
Yeah. We've got Darren Gray. Darren? Gray Skull Bookings?
Oh, yeah, Aaron Gray.
Aaron
Gray from Gray Skull Booking. So our dedicated lifelong booker who's books the Boston area, but also does tour booking for bands and has worked for some of the major booking agencies.
Yeah.
And, gets bands into major festivals. And so that's a different angle that we haven't really talked about so much.
We're going to have Mark on from Doors to Nowhere.
Or
actually, we're going to have Jem on, too, that I was just mentioning from Dead.
From Dead.
Australia. We'll get to have an Australian on that can tell us what the fuck is going on in Australia.
Explain to me. Brett Morris from the band Man Man.
Yeah.
And one of my all-time favorite podcasts, Who Charted, which is also partially the inspiration for this show because they go through the music and movie charts. It's a comedy podcast.
Yeah.
But
are you saying we're not? I think
funny. They're intentionally funny.
Oh.
We're accidentally funny.
We're like bad dad joke funny.
We're accidentally funny sometimes. No, and their third chart every episode is they each bring the 2 hosts and the guest each bring a couple songs in to play for each other. Like, hey, here's what we're listening to. Here's what I'm into this week.
Oxplug. Like the Oxplug game.
Yes, like the Oxplug game. But Brett also on the side is a guitar player for Man, which is a musician in LA, goes by Honus, and then his band project is called Man. They're on Sub Pop, I believe. Yeah, Man's a Sub Pop band, and put out a really crazy, awesome record last year that's like Mr. Bungle, but not heavy. It's like such a crazy genre hopping. I know
we've listened to it.
Yeah, we've listened to it, and Brett's a killer guitar player, a funny dude, a podcast producer, and So he really covers all the guest bases you could hope for.
Nice.
At least for me.
Man, we got some guests coming up.
Yeah, we got good stuff coming up.
Jeez.
All right, everybody. Woo. Well, this was
another episode of Blynd Submissions.
What are we?
Blynd Submissions?
No.
We out. Thanks for joining us for another week of Blynd Submissions. See episode description for links to all artists discussed in this episode, and visit their sites to support them directly by buying music and merch. Share links to the podcast or YouTube videos with your friends, especially if they're in bands. Bands, if you want us to listen to your music on a future episode, please submit one song to blyndsub@gmail.com. That is blyndsub, BLYNDSUB @gmail.com. Bandcamp links preferred, but not required. Find us on social media at Blynd Submissions. Full video episodes are available on our YouTube. Remember, we go in blind, so you don't have to. Blynd Submissions.